If you'd be coming down Durham Road by horseback or coming up the Delaware River by boat, you would see flames shooting out at nighttime from the furnace here, or smoke during the daytime, and you would know that the furnace was busy making armaments for the American Revolution. This particular cannonball was the one that was discovered right here in this building, and it's in absolutely prime condition.
In 1774, a man named George Taylor took a lease to run the Durham Furnace. He was a justice of the peace in Easton, and when the Continental Congress gathered, he was chosen as a representative and was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. Initially, when George Taylor took over the furnace, they were producing things like firebacks, pots and pans, things for everyday life. But as a patriot, George Taylor was the first to step forward when they needed munitions for the Continental Army.
This is the heaviest one. This is about 22 pounds or so. This is about 15. This is about 10. It's not only cannonballs that had been going out there, but they also produced the shot for the muskets that were in the area. So anything dealing with munitions were made here. The information that we have is that the Native Americans that were in the area, they talked about that there was, they called it lead. And then some people say that as early as in the 1600s, where they made a very crude type of iron. What this area looked like back in the early 1700s is considerably different than what it is now. It was dark, it was damp, it was all wooded. Huge trees. I mean, trees like we don't even see around here anymore. But that's one of the things that attracted the people here, because the wood was used to make the charcoal for the furnace. It also had a good supply of limestone, and the iron ore was prevalent in the mountains that are around here. It also had Cook's Creek, which supplied the water for the water wheel that operated the bellows that created greater heat so that ore could be turned into iron. Furnace itself, when they would have a pour, they'd be able to do it with a minimal number of people, maybe a dozen or so. But you had the people who cut the wood, you had the people who stacked the wood into the shape that was needed to make the charcoal. You had the teamsters who would have to transport not only the wood, but transport the iron ore, transport the limestone, transport the finished product to Philadelphia. It was about a 4 or 5 day journey. When the Durham boats were invented, and they were able to use the Delaware River as a way of transporting the iron, that was a great improvement, because they could make it down in one day. They could take 20 tons of iron and still float in 18 inches of water. This furnace existed from 1727, and it kept on producing iron products until 1791. One of the problems that happened is, since this was a charcoal-fired furnace, they ran out of wood. They were burning almost 1 acre of wood per day in order to produce enough charcoal for the furnace to operate.
Throughout the war, Taylor and the Durham Furnace were producing munitions for the effort. And it's ironic, because the owner of the Durham tract and the furnace itself, Joseph Galloway, proved to be a loyalist. And one wonders if he hadn't leased the furnace to Taylor, if those munitions would have been, in fact, used for the British effort.